Life in the West, the Chinese. Gamsan, or Gold Mountain, was what people in China called California in 1848. To poor and hungry Chinese peasants, Gamsan sounded like a paradise. There, they were told, you will have great pay, large houses, and food and clothing of the finest description. Money is in great plenty. By 1852, more than 20,000 Chinese had ventured across the Pacific to California. That year, 1 of every 10 Californians was Chinese, an uncertain welcome. At first, the Chinese were welcomed. Lei Chun Chuen, an early immigrant, observed that they were received like guests and greeted with favor. In 1852, the governor of California praised Chinese immigrants as one of the most worthy classes of our newly adopted citizens. As gold mining became more difficult, however, attitudes toward immigrants began to change. A miner from Chile complained, "The Yankee regarded every man but an American as an interloper, intruder, who had no right to come to California and pick up the gold." The Chinese, too, came under attack. American miners called on the government to drive foreigners out of the gold fields. In 1852, the state legislature passed a law requiring foreign miners to pay a monthly fee for a license to mine. As the tax collectors arrived in the camps, most of the foreigners left. One traveler saw them scattered along the roads in every direction, like refugees fleeing an invading army. The Chinese stay. The Chinese, however, paid the tax and stayed on. When the miners' tax failed to drive off the Chinese, Americans tried to force them into leaving. Whites hacked off the long cuyos, or braids, worn by Chinese men. They burned the shacks of Chinese miners. Beatings followed burnings. Discouraged Chinese immigrants left the mines to open restaurants, laundries, and stores in California's growing cities. The best eating houses in San Francisco, one miner wrote, were those opened by the Chinese. So many Chinese settled in San Francisco that local newspapers called their neighborhood Chinatown. Today, San Francisco's Chinatown remains the oldest and largest Chinese community in the United States. Other Chinese put their farming skills to work in California's fertile Central Valley. They drained swamps and dug irrigation ditches to water and fields. In time, they would help transform California into America's fruit basket and salad bowl. The legacy of the Chinese immigrants. Most of the Chinese who came to California in search of gold hoped to return to China as rich men. A few did just that. Most, however, stayed on in the United States. Despite continued prejudice against them, their hard work, energy, and skills greatly benefited California and other western states. In mining, farming, in factories, and in the labor generally of California, observed a writer in 1876, the employment of the Chinese has been found most desirable. The Chinese not only helped to build the West, but they also made it a more interesting place to live. Wherever they settled, Chinese immigrants brought with them the arts, tastes, scents, and sounds of one of the world's oldest and richest cultures.